Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rich Longo, and I'll be your host for today's presentation. Today's webinar is on BMC's client management, presented by none other than Greg Gielda. Greg has been with Flycast Partners pretty much since its inception. Greg has a proven history in leadership, consulting, ITIL implementation, and developmental stewardship of all ITIL best practice disciplines, including change management, problem management, incident management, ITIL configuration, and release management. Greg is well into his second decade and has the gray hairs to prove it in the IT industry with several hundred implementations under his belt. And before we get started with Greg's presentation, let me introduce our organization.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Raymark Solutions webinar. Raymark is highly repeatable, best practice IT system management and service delivery. We strive to satisfy the ever-increasing demand to cut cost, increase efficiencies, and align ourselves with the goals of your business. BMC Service Desk Express is sunsetting at the end of 2017, and support will no longer be available. If you have SDE, contact us at 844-FLYCAST, that's 844-359-2278, and we can successfully migrate you to another solution that best fits your business's needs.
And without further ado, I'm going to turn this presentation over to Greg Gielda.
Rich, thanks very much. You're only saying I have gray hair because you've seen I have gray hair.
That's right, sir.
There you have it. He's telling the truth. I do have some. And I'm going to be at those events that Rich was talking about. In fact, I'll be at every single one of them. So even though you on the call probably won't be at every one of them, I will be, and I will be tasting beer across North America. I know, it sucks to be me. So everybody, we are here to talk a little bit about BMC's client management from a solutions standpoint. In this case, it's a solution for your IT, not service management, but IT asset management functionality, ITAM, as that acronym is referred to. IT service management, of course, managed by the Footprints product that this used to be named after. It used to be called Footprints Asset Core. BMC changed the name of it when they acquired Numara Software. And so, where I hail from is Numara Software way back in the day, so I'm very familiar with how this product came into being. And really, it's the result of both Numara and subsequently BMC seeing the advantages of a flagship solution like this for managing your assets and your endpoints. And we do everything in our solution now, from the ability to remote control your devices to the ability to even do mobile device management on iOS devices currently, with an extension into Android devices coming soon. So all those capabilities, plus compliance and patch capability, the ability to push software out, and of course manage the licenses for those software elements, all maintained inside of BMC's client management. So when BMC acquired Numara, this product had been called Footprints. Right? It was named after the Footprints family. It was intended to work with the Footprint solution originally. There were integration points between them, so it was built kind of from the ground up for that purpose. BMC acquired them and said, look, we're changing the name. BMC started calling it BMC's Client Management, or BMC's BCM. So just in case you don't get enough of those acronyms, we'll throw the letters around a little bit. So Rich was talking about, in fact, I'll be at every single one of them. So even though you on the call probably won't be at every one of them, I will be, and I will be tasting beer across North America. I know, it sucks to be me. So everybody, we are here to talk a little bit about BMC's client management from a solutions standpoint. In this case, it's a solution for your IT, not service management, but IT asset management functionality, ITAM, as that acronym is referred to. IT service management, of course, managed by the Footprints product that this used to be named after. It used to be called Footprints Asset Core. BMC changed the name of it when they acquired Numara Software. And so, where I hail from is Numara Software way back in the day, so I'm very familiar with how this product came into being. And really, it's the result of both Numara and subsequently BMC seeing the advantages of a flagship solution like this for managing your assets and your endpoints. And we do everything in our solution now, from the ability to remote control your devices to the ability to even do mobile device management on iOS devices currently, with an extension into Android devices coming soon. So all those capabilities plus compliance and patch capability, the ability to push software out and of course manage the licenses for those software elements, all maintained inside of BMC's client management. So when BMC acquired Numara, this product had been called Footprints. Right? It was named after the Footprints family. It was intended to work with the Footprint solution originally. There were integration points between them, so it was built kind of from the ground up for that purpose. BMC acquired them and said, look, we're changing the name. BMC started calling it BMC's Client Management, or BMC's BCM. So just in case you don't get enough of those acronyms, we'll throw the letters around a little bit. But in the end, BMC changed the name of it for a couple of reasons. One, because they were trying to make it work with other solutions that they had besides Footprints. Right? That integration is very tight between the solution and Footprints and exists between their other products and BMC's Client Management, or BCM for short. But also because BMC started using it to manage their own endpoints around the globe, about 170 different sites, give or take, with thousands of assets to be able to manage across the planet. And if you're BMC and you own, 30+% of the entire ITSM market, computing software market, that's a big chunk, right? So they can pretty much do what they want, buy what they want as far as tools go to manage their stuff. And if they found that there was something that was better on the market, they wouldn't really sneeze at spending the money on it, to be honest. It just so happens that they have something that's perfect right in their backyard for managing those endpoints in client management. Now, this solution is a suite, which means there's a whole bevy of capabilities that come with it. You have some flexibility over how you use them and which doses you want to use those capabilities in, or whether you want to use the full cocktail of the suite or simply excise some of those capabilities altogether. So you can choose to remove pieces, but it is sold as a suite of products, a suite of capabilities really all under one hood. I'm going to talk about what those capabilities are. The other critical element is that you probably notice here it says Instant Expert. I'm going to switch to Wizard mode. Now I have on a big pointy hat and I'm carrying a wand. Kidding. But in Wizard mode, you do have the ability to manage the solution just like in Expert mode without code. There is no scripting for this product. So unlike other tools in this market space that require somebody in your organization to write language, right, to write a script, there is no script here, no scripting at all. Everything is done with a point-and-click interface. So when it comes to getting our solution up and running in your organization, you can roll those agents out, right? The little agents that we use, and we'll talk more about these. The little agents that end up on the endpoints of your machine so that you can manage those Mac, Windows, or Linux devices. All done through a wizard, configuring your ability to do patching or to discover the assets that you own. Everything done through a point-and-click wizard-based interface with no scripters required. That means you're not guessing. You're not accidentally fat-fingering a script somewhere because there is no script to fat-finger here. And it means that you can get more precise control into the hands of the people that matter. Because solutions like these are oftentimes licensed based on how many users, right? And we are not that way. We are licensed based on how many of these little guys you have out there in the environment, right? How many agents on Mac, Windows, or Linux machines, and what they're capable of doing. Can they patch the machine as well as remote control it? Do they just inventory the machine? That's what I meant by mixing and matching those capabilities. And of course, getting these agents out is really done through our agent rollout wizard that comes up and starts asking you some questions and allows you to fill in information. And of course, it tells you what's supposed to be put where so that you're not guessing, right? Which directory do they mean? Here's the directory we mean. This is what we're talking about. So we've really gone to great lengths with this solution to be sure that it's accessible because tools of this nature tend to be buried behind the scenes in your company, right? Things that nobody sees, nobody knows exist. Somehow the software got deployed. We don't know. Gremlins came, elves came, somebody came in the night and deployed the software or took it off your machine. These kinds of tools are usually what operates in that dark space, but they've tried to shed a little light on it by allowing any folks that want to. Again, we're not licensed based on people, so the people who need to be involved in managing our assets can be involved here without any additional license costs to you. Now, the agent deployed from our agent rollout wizard allows the agent, which again is the device or the piece of software that sits on the machine, that agent now becomes autonomous. So that means it wakes up when you told it to wake up. As you were pushing it out, you told it how to behave, what it was going to be doing. and it now goes out and behaves in the way you instructed it to. Wake up at this time, gather this information, do an audit at this time, use this network, use only this much of this network at this time of the day. So the agents wake up and take on whatever personality they're going to take on, and they start returning information to the system once they've been deployed. Now that info can start going into the groups, right, the various kinds of device groups you may have, and it says that I'm in the middle of a task. I was over in the expert area. Do you want to stop with that? Yes, I'll stop with that task. So you can see I have different device groups here. Just you can make up whatever device group you want, really, and put any kinds of devices that you'd like inside of those groups. The system will automatically create the devices in the group as it finds the criteria on your network that match what you told it the group should be like. So in other words, if you said, look, I want you to construct groups after my Active Directory group structure, then it'll build groups named off after your AD/OU structure or AD group structure. If you told it to build groups like I did, Windows 7 ready devices or Windows 10 ready devices, or depending on where you're going, right, which OS or what information you want to gather, you can group your machines in any way you want. And when you group them, the system will then let you take action against the machines based on your grouping, whatever you wanted to call them. So that way you're targeting the correct machines, not one at a time, but as entire groups of products in the environment, so that all those groups of machines can be maintained to the levels that you need them maintained to. And you know from being able to, or being involved in managing your assets right now, that it is difficult to sometimes get your arms around all of that, right? It looks like a boil the ocean exercise. There's a lot of machines everywhere. How do I get them all sorted? So we'll start pulling that information back for you, grouping that detail, and then, of course, producing a topology for you that lets you understand everything from, in my case, connectivity. So it's currently showing me the devices that are connected to node 1 of my switch, my 300M switch over here. And these are all the devices that are connected to it. And of course, I can get information about any of these devices if I want to, use these tools to directly access the machine, check its events, check its connection, reboot it, shut it down, wake it up, whatever I want to do, deprecate that device. Maybe I want to roll out a different agent with updated abilities to it, or maybe this device and another device really should be merged, really one device, or change its life cycle because it's about to be deprecated, right? It's going to be retired soon and off my books. So you can decide what you want to do, what information you want to capture about each individual machine, getting a summary of the inventory, and if you had an agent on here, you'd get all the details about this device, and I'll show you what I mean. And of course, the status of that particular device, what it's doing for connectivity, what hardware, what software information it has. Everything can be returned because we will scan that device with one of those agents and get that information back. Now, we also produce a full network topology, so you want to see which devices are off your 10.40 network, right? I'll just look at that network and see that I have the 10.40.201 subnet, and within the 201 subnet, I see other devices that exist in my overall infrastructure. And I can, of course, get summary information about any of these, too. These have an agent installed, so you can see that I can now see lots of detail about that particular device. And I can take other action against it, including understanding its security profiles, understanding whether or not it's meeting compliance for the things that I put forward. And if it's not, drilling into whichever machines you need to, if you choose to set up charts and graphs that way, so that you can find out which machines are or are not compliant for whatever the rules are that you put forward. That information starts coming back the minute your agents are deployed. It even tells you what your overall asset topology looks like. So in this case, the environment that was scanned at BMC, before I put it on my virtual machine here, had a main server, which is the server that I'm running right now. It also had relay devices. I say devices here because they do not have to be servers. Just workstation class machines are fine. And these machines will live in your remote offices. So imagine each of these is a remote office, and it's reporting back to the main server. Each remote office has its own machines that it deals with, right? These machines all report back to this relay. The machines in this office may report back to that relay. Or this relay tells these machines which patches they're about to get tonight, or which software is going to be deployed to them. The bottom line is all of the machines managed by the relays are then in turn managed directly by the master server here. So the master manages the relay manages the device. And that means I don't have to have a fat pipe that exists between these two at all. Even for limited bandwidth connections, we can just use a relay device in that location and let it operate for you. And if you open up ports in your firewall, like port 8080 or something, any device on the outside of your network, does not have to be on your network at all, can communicate with our asset solution if there's an agent installed. So that means this agent will establish communication at the schedule you told it to, or when you wanted to wake up to do a remote session. And yes, by the way, you can ask your customers about whether the remote session is okay to do right now, or you can just sneak in if that's what you'd rather do. Well, obviously, we recommend that you ask them. In any case, they don't have to be on your network. They could be on a hotel or in a hotel in Guam and still be reachable, right? They could be at Starbucks across town. Because as long as they're on the internet and the agent's installed on their machine, and you have a remote as part of the suite functionality, then we can remote control their machine and fix the issue that they might be having. So our agent, as we said, is smart. It's autonomous. It wakes up and does the functions you want it to do. And those functions start with inventorying your environment, showing you where things are connected, dividing the devices out into whatever logical groups you want to. But there's more to the product than just counting the things you have or counting the software you own. We have the ability to get that software onto your machines as well. So we can do OS deployment. If we do OS deployment, this is really Windows operating systems via Pixie Boot. But OS deployment includes deploying to bare metal machines or just re-imaging a machine with the latest image that you may have taken, so that you can wipe the machine and kind of start from scratch. We do your imaging. We maintain your ability to boot directly from bare metal machines into a Pixie Boot environment, and then we get your Windows machines up and running. Right? And Deployment Manager, another functionality, allows you to deploy software packages, not just MSIs, but literally anything, right? Anything that you want, 3 text files to your machine. Right? They don't have to be executables, but they can be. They don't have to be MSIs. They can be anything that you wish to deploy. Deployment Manager gives you that functionality and flexibility. And of course, using those packages, you can use the package factory here to build them, right? This is our current package factory. Construct snapshot packages or custom packages of anything that you'd like. But you don't have to come in this way. You can simply use the wizard. As you can see, I can create packages right here using that same master server, a custom package, an MSI package. Grabbing that package, I can name the package and move it through the steps, right, necessary so that I can get the package built. So no by guess and by gosh going on here. It is clearly spelled out for you. The information that goes in here is visible for you, so you know pre-install script, I want to run a post-install script, I want to run, yes, I want to do those things afterwards. Do I want to make it a dynamic package so that it interacts with things in my environment or not? And as you can see, there is help available for everything. So if I'm not sure what that means, dynamic package, right, defines that the contents are to be dynamically updated, meaning as new information shows up, the information and the folders, etc., are going to be verified for the content and collected at the time of the publication. That information is available to you for any of these fields. If you're not sure what's supposed to happen where or why, I would check this box. So we make sure that not only don't you have to write scripts or memorize a 30,000-page manual, but we've got a wizard that actually takes care of those functions for you, including getting packages deployed. Now, package management, software deployment management, as it's referred to, is one of the capabilities that you can add to the agent. So as a part of the suite, you're going to get the ability to patch however many nodes you'd like, however many endpoints you want to manage, Mac, Windows, or Linux. And you can decide how many of them should be deployable, right? I want to deploy software to those endpoints. That's how many package, or excuse me, in this case, that's how many operational rules or other packages you're going to push out. So package management, deployment management, all a part of a capability that's in the suite of the solution. And you can choose to have as many of those as you'd like, or as few of them as you want, or none at all. Now, we also manage patches, making sure that your environment doesn't drift from the standards that you put forward in terms of patching. We use the Shavlik database as our bulletin source. So when patches happen, right, when vulnerabilities are found, sometimes they're found by the vendor of the software, sometimes they're found by independent third-party groups that are designed to do nothing but sniff out vulnerabilities, and they will report them to Shavlik first. They kind of have a great position in the market for getting those bulletins into them literally 0 day. Right? The day of the vulnerability discovery, the bulletin comes out and says, we found the vulnerability of the software. And you can tell our solution to go pull this information about updated bulletins as frequently as you'd like, right? Every day, twice a day, whatever times you want to. That way, we'll evaluate your environment and let you know this is the stuff we found that is vulnerable. And most of the bulletins have already got patches associated with them, fixes to help address the issue or the exposure that that particular vendor left you with. Now, unlike other solutions that do patching, and I'm going to say I'm looking at you, Microsoft, right? They do patches, absolutely they do, and they patch Microsoft stuff brilliantly. So do we, but the Microsoft stuff leaves you at patching Microsoft stuff and nothing else. And some of the bigger exploits that have taken place recently have not necessarily been because of a Microsoft vulnerability. Right? They have their own share, don't get me wrong, but oftentimes it's because of a vulnerability in some other piece of software. So when you are setting up patches, yeah, you guessed it, you have the ability to build your own patch functionality using our wizard, and that's going to be either a patch job, one of those repeatable things we do every Wednesday night. Tonight's patch night, like laundry night, right? We do our patches every night, or maybe you just have a patch group, typically not a repeated thing, it's just a group of machines that you said, yeah, we're going to bring these up to date finally. We're going to, yeah. We haven't targeted them with any of our other patches because they're just that kind of machine. But now we're going to patch that group on whatever day we want. No matter what you pick, the wizard's going to take you through and set up the information, allowing you to decide what kind of patches you're going to do, only critical stuff, important stuff, unrated stuff. Maybe you would like to patch only security that is critical. That's important. Vulnerabilities that are security related are probably the ones you should go after, and critical vulnerabilities or important ones are probably both very important, especially on your laptops, because they drift away from your main office and are on who knows whose network, increasing your vulnerability surface area. You can patch the full list of everything, right? So everything that we find that's patchable is patchable, or you can simply choose to pick particular products. Notice that it's not just Microsoft stuff in the software list. It is hundreds of pieces of software out here. We have lots and lots of stuff that we patch. And that way we can keep your entire environment up to date, fixing vulnerabilities or fixing functionality or whatever the capability is. And we will patch those products all across the board. We maintain your Mac machines by waking up its updater. We maintain your Linux machines by doing the same. And in that way we can maintain your Windows products simply by looking on those machines and calling up patching from our vulnerability list. Now, we can of course check to see which patches, whether it's groups of machines that need to be patched or individual machines that you've scanned, and you said, hey, on this particular machine, which patches are missing. Now I can see all the machines missing patches, or if it was a group of machines, all of theirs. Sort them based on their criticality, easy to do. Now, some folks like to take ultimate control over this. Right? They want to have the complete control over what gets patched, when it gets patched, and that's understandable. You don't want to disrupt your environment if you can help it. Some things, like local desktop files and stuff that are vulnerable, particularly on laptops, are things you should probably try to automate if you can. Just because it's in those cases where when that didn't get caught right away, and oh shoot, we should have patched that last week, but we missed the bulletin. By then, it might be too late and somebody may have exploited it and brought it into your house. So you can decide whether you want us to manage this stuff for you, automatically patch all critical security things you find on laptops, right? We'll automatically do that on the day in question, Tuesday nights or whatever. We'll wake the machine if we have to. If we don't find it, we'll patch it when it shows up again. And yes, you can definitely ask your customer, your end user, do you want to patch now? You can even give them a limit and say, nah, you're not allowed to say no after the third time. It's going to happen. Or you can be alerted to these events. The system can send alerts as part of your preferences. You can make sure that you are alerted to whatever you want to be alerted to, events that happen, things that you found different from the last time you scanned. Or if you really want to take ultimate control, you can just come into each device or each group and say, yeah, fix that thing. And if it's on a single device, it'll go fix that thing on that device. If it's for an entire group of devices that show this issue, it'll fix them all, right, if you choose fix. So everything from manual intervention to fully automated intervention or anything in between can be done if we are patching your environment and maintaining those endpoints. So patch management, another capability again that can be added. You decide whether you want to keep it as a part of the suite or whether you say, nah, we'll never patch those other pieces of software, right? You decide how many endpoints you want to patch, what capabilities you want to have. But in the end, it is a part of the suite, and you can decide to take it out if you'd like to. Now, compliance is another capability, right? And this is a bit of a three-headed monster because it does three extremely powerful, useful functions in your organization. One, it normalizes your software catalog. Now, that may sound like a weird thing to talk about even, but normalizing your software means when you have tools like these and they go detect your version of Adobe Professional 9 and see if you're licensed, they will report back that you have 13 versions of 9.2.6.8. And then report you have 17 versions of 9.3.5.7, right? Because each version of software is its own piece to these tools. And you can definitely add up all the dot versions you have and come to a conclusion about how many of them you really own. Or you can just let us normalize that and say, these are all Adobe 9. These are the Adobe 9 licenses you told me you have. Yes, you can tell the tool how many licenses you have. We can read that data from a file right on the computer if you want to, or from the registry, for example. You can manually enter it. But once you've told us and once we were able to discover how many licenses you own, then you can see whether you're compliant or not with whatever those license counts are, because we'll normalize that software and roll it all up under the 9 value, Adobe 9, instead of you having to figure out each and every single version. Or you can name the software yourself. I don't want to call it Adobe 9, I want to call it Fred. That's fine. Group it however you want to, name it however you'd like. But compliance will help us normalize your software pool so that licensing and keeping track of how many you really have is a much easier task. But it does two other things too. The other functions that it carries out are maintaining your endpoints so they don't drift. Many organizations build their machines from an image, right? Or they will install by hand every piece of software that has to be on that machine. And when they put that software out there, many organizations say, look, we don't want to support just willy-nilly anybody's piece of software from anyone ever created in the history of time. We want to support these pieces of software that do these functions, right? Because our help desk cannot support every piece of software written by everyone. We know that. So when you start picking out the stuff you want to support, then the things that you don't are pieces of software that you can say, no, 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 you're not allowed to run that. No, 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 you're not authorized for that software. We don't support that. So you can use Compliance Manager to prevent the drift of those machines, or to even prevent the drift of a particular version of your software. Maybe you don't want Java to ever be changed from the version it's on, because that breaks stuff when they come in with a new version of Java. So we'll lock that down. Maybe you want power to go off at 2 a.m. and woke up again at 6 a.m. on those machines. Anything that requires a rule where we're making sure that something happens, we'll check and see if it happens, right? Make sure that rule takes place. So normalization of your software, maintenance of the endpoints so that they don't drift from the settings you put forward, whether that's making sure that the software you put out there is the same version as the one you want when it comes back, right? They didn't break something or create an unexpected call to the service desk for you. Or whether that means making sure that we know how many people, for example, are, I'll just pick on this, how many people have antivirus installed? Seems like a simple thing. We should know that. How many of them have it up to date? How many of them have an actual anti-spyware software installed, right? Because these usually aren't the same piece. Sometimes they are. How many have this installed? How many have it up to date? And you can, of course, drill into these so that you can get the information that you want to and see the devices that are meeting or not meeting your compliance requirements. So you'll have that information handy. That way, compliance can help maintain your endpoints drift-free. So compliance of your software licenses, so you understand normalization for your software. Compliance of lists, so that who's in or who's out, right? You're not authorized to run that software. You're not allowed to run iTunes before 5 p.m. And of course, management, as I said, of who's in or who's out of those lists, right? And controlling who's allowed to be in or out, who's allowed to have that software, who's not allowed to have that software installed. In this way, when you start getting detail reported back about your software, right? Let's just go ahead and pick on my applications. You can see I have the ability to manage apps inside of my tool. If I could click properly, it'd be good. I have the ability to manage my apps, see my software catalog. I can monitor apps, find out if they're being run or used or not. And software license management, of course, I can see all my Office suites or anything else that I want to, and find out if I've exceeded the licenses or not. I have this many installed, I've exceeded by 6, right? So we have things installed that shouldn't be. And of course, as we need to, we can drill into these to see who's authorized and who is not authorized to run that software, so we can pull it off as we need. So compliance, very potent capability, lets you manage those endpoints with great detail. And we also do one more thing in compliance. It's a part of those lists, making sure that we know who's naughty and who's nice, who's living up to the standards and who isn't. That is SCAP compliance. SCAP is just another type of list to maintain against a particular set of machines. And for any organization that deals with government transactions or deals with government machines, they may mandate that those machines that communicate with the government are set to a particular standard. Machines shall have the following installed, shall have the following versions of the following whatevers. That information is available as files on the NIST website, right? The National Institute of Standards and Technology website, which means you can grab those files, and that's exactly what this is set for, so that you can create SCAP compliance patch or any verification that you want to job, so that we will see if you are compliant with what the government standards say you need to be in order to carry on those conversations with them, or in order to make sure that your machines are simply meeting those criteria, whatever stringency they're set for. In that way, you can be assured that you're going to be matching that, because any machines that don't meet the standard are going to be flagged. They're going to be notifying you about the fact that these machines don't meet that standard. They can be put into a group automatically that get populated whenever a machine falls out of the standard, and you will now have the ability to manage the compliance of those endpoints, not just to your own standards, but also to government standards, U.S. government standards. So that's part of the compliance management capability. It's a part of the suite of products that is BMC's Client Manager. And you can decide, of course, if you want to be able to manage compliance for your endpoints or not, or how many of them you'd like to manage by how many licenses you turn on these little agents for compliance capability. There's 2 more capabilities in our solution, one of which is not really appearing on this list. It's remote control. And just like the name implies, it allows you to remote control endpoints, right? Those endpoints can be anywhere, Starbucks across town, hotel in Guam, on your network if you want. You can ask for permission, of course, if you'd like. It doesn't really demo terribly well, because look, my cursor is moving via remote control. It's kind of hard to display. But it does present the capability for you to knock on the door of some endpoint in your organization. And by the way, you can control who's allowed to do this, so that you don't have the wrong people trying to administer via remote an executive's endpoint, right? Oops, that could be an oopsie, especially if they're the new person. So we have the ability to control who can do any functions inside of our solution. Remote control is one of them. And that way, only the right authorized folks can remote control only people who you've decided you want to or who will let you. And you can, of course, ask for permission in each case. This presents a solution because you don't have to go and kneel next to their computer now, right? Or I don't have to drive across town to Starbucks and kneel next to their booth and try to fix their machine. I can remote control in from wherever I am on the planet, as long as they have one of these little agents on board. The other capability that just got introduced is mobile device management. Now, it is mobile device management currently for iOS devices. It's sort of a call and answer process by which an app and function gets installed on your iOS device, your iPad, your iPhone, what have you, and it communicates back with our solution in sort of call and answer fashion. It says, yes, I am this, please type this number if you are that, yes, I am that, awesome, we're connected. Now, we can begin to configure and maintain pushing that Apple certificate and enrolling machines inside of your ability to manage them. And yes, we do Apple devices currently, but we will be rolling this out further to Android devices as well. So you can maintain profiles on your machines, if you wish to, on all of those endpoints. You can manage, of course, your entire list of mobile devices if you happen to have any. You can maintain synchronization of those devices so that their application versions remain at the standard that you wish to maintain them at. You can send specific commands to the remote devices, right, to any of your mobile devices, iOS mobile devices. You can make sure that individual profiles are set up so that the right users have access to the right portions of their machines, and even, of course, install or work with mobile applications, if you'd like. All of this stuff is also, of course, part and parcel of our wizard functionality. So whether we're doing discovery or application management, operational rules, or agent rollouts, SCAP job security profile, or a full-on mobile command, we have the ability to set up mobile capability, whether we're updating device information or not, move through the entire process, of course, any notes that we have, does it repeat frequently or not, move through the process of setting it up, and then set up the specific users, setting up with this command, so all these users will always have this command run on their mobile device to start their day or to start their month or to start what have you. And we can decide what it is that we're going to do with those mobile devices, which groups we're going to be addressing. So if those mobile devices fall into a particular group, we can manage a whole group of them simultaneously if we'd like to, and assign the commands that we would like to those particular groups, right? So add a device group, remove a particular device, or have the ability to add or remove specific capabilities, users to these particular device groups or devices to these groups, which then gives you the ability to configure those mobile devices and partition them the way you would like. So you have the flexibility to manage your iOS devices now, partition them off, have them BYOD, right, bring your own device, so that you can use portions of it for your work and still maintain a portion of it for the end user so that never the twain shall meet. Now guys, all of this capability is of course rolled up into the solution, and you can pull your data back out for all of this stuff. Reporting is usually something that folks ask about, so I'll try to cover that quickly too. Reporting is done without scripting. No SQL queries are required. No DBAs are harmed in the making of this product. You can simply choose to create a report, right, using our wizard again. Decide on the type of report you want to base. If it's style-based, that means it's your ideas for what you want to report on. If it's template-based, that means it's based on the built-in reports that exist already. Style-based reports mean you're basically just picking a layout. Right? What layout will you use for the reports you want? And then you can decide what you're going to report on right inside the tool. What information, what charts or graphs, like I have over here, will I include in the various breakouts of style? Or just use any of the template-based built-in reports. You can see there's a pretty hefty list here. Any monitored applications or expiring and expired licenses, licensed software details, over-licensed software. Hey, you know what? We bought too many, and you probably should know that, so we don't have to buy any more for a while. Maybe the execs need to see a full compliance summary so they can understand which machines are not in compliance with the stuff we agreed to. They should all have this much memory. They should all have this size hard drive. These machines don't. What do we want to do about that? Anything? Okay. Or whatever the compliance rules are. And you can see even more reports, full power management status, antivirus details, patch group information, all the information really about the entire system available here. And again, all done through a wizard, so it makes it easy, or they've tried to make it as easy as possible at least, just to get the solution up and running. Now, we at Flycast provide services, of course, for a solution like this. We provide hands-on capabilities, so you guys are the ones working in the tool with our tutelage and guidance. And that lets you come up to speed quickly because you've done the clicks or your staff has done the clicks. They understand how to make the stuff work. They're the ones that really rolled the agents out and started working on it in your environment. But folks who have installed solutions like this start seeing a great return on investment because I don't have to buy the software anymore. I have many licenses I'm not using. Or Microsoft isn't hitting me with those expensive true-up costs anymore because we now know in advance of Microsoft arriving that they're going to find 15 SQL instances that we didn't know we had. So we might as well take them down if we don't need them for production purposes before they stumble through and start doing an audit. Any of those kinds of functions and more, even power management, right? Many power companies will grant you a little bit of a rebate if they know that you've got a power compliance system that sets in and turns those machines off so they're not burning the candle at O dark 100 when they don't have to. So there's great return on investment in a solution like this, managing the stuff that usually lives under the covers or that we take advantage of, right, take for granted. But it lets you get your arms around those components, software and hardware, so that you can manage them throughout their life cycle. Ladies and gentlemen, I am about to turn this over to Mr. Rich Longo, but if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to type them into the box. If we can answer them quickly, we will. Otherwise, if you have questions and type them in and we can't answer them quickly, we'll be more than happy to get back to you as quick as possible, or you can contact us on our website. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Rich Longo. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day. I really appreciate you listening. Rich, take it away.
Once again, I'd like to echo Greg. Thank all of you for taking time out of your very busy day to learn a little bit more about BMC client management. Thank you, Greg, for the presentation. If you do have any questions or would like some additional information, please feel free to reach out to us at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. That's 844-359-2278. Or simply email us questions at info@flycastpartners.com, and we'll have someone reach right back out to you. With that being said, I do encourage you to sign up for future webinars that we have coming up on our website, as well as maybe participating in a road show that's coming near you. And with that being said, I'm going to let you have the rest of your day back. Enjoy the rest of your week, folks.